Hello, all. My name is Melvin Branch, and I would like to present the Power Arcade. The first things first, I would like to get into the action phase of how the Power Arcade is played.
Want to see me run to that mountain, Dad? You want to see me do it again?
Alright, so as you guys can see from the demonstration, you can come and interact with the flash, you can interact with the bowling ball, you can interact with pretty much everything within this. The flash runs off and also gives you a funny kind of remark as he does it. The robot instructs you to knock over some pins. You can go ahead and kick the soccer ball to knock over the pins, which are all interactive with each other, and you can press the reset glove or the boxing glove to knock them over again by resetting everything. Next, we have our behaviors. How did I make everything do what it did? Our first behavior is our soccer ball. We have a trigger, which is a tap trigger, and we have an action sequence, which is an add force. My tap trigger is what I use to actually tap the soccer ball and make it go. My adding force action sequence is where I actually directed the ball to go where I wanted it to go. So in this case, I wanted it to collide with the pins in order to make the pins fly everywhere. Our next behavior is the robo voice, in which I have a tap trigger again. Therefore, you can tap upon the robot and hear him say, "Hey, why don't you knock over some pins?" This voice is actually an audio clip that I used myself and programmed through a few extracurricular apps. But I programmed the voice to sound like a robot. That way I could now import my clip into my reality composer, and I was able to put the voice through the background of the robot. Therefore, you hear, "Hey, why don't you knock over some pins?" But you hear it in a robotic voice instead of my naturally human voice. My next behavior is the flash. This is probably my favorite one. I used another tap trigger to make the flash move, but my action sequence was totally different. I used the move, rotate, and scale 2 and the play sound together. So now, whenever the flash moved, the audio trigger that you guys will hear, which is the SpongeBob Quickster, was, "Hey, do you want me to go touch that mountain? You want to see me do it again?" But it would only happen if the flash is ever interacted with. If he's not interacted with, you probably won't hear that. My next trigger was the interactive bowling pins. With the bowling pin knockover, I actually programmed all 10 of them to be collided with. So since I programmed the collide, the only thing that I had to next program was my ball, which is my collides with up in this category. My trigger was, of course, the collide, and my action sequence was actually a sound effect of the crowd cheering you on once you knock over the pins. 9 times out of 10, you probably would get at least close to a strike, but who knows? Keep on trying, right? The next thing I did was program my reset glove. Now, since the reset glove has a trigger, and it has an action sequence, my reset glove was, of course, another tap trigger, but my action sequence was totally different from many others. My action sequence was a change scene and a play sound. The play sound, of course, would have like a railroad ding, just to say like, "Ding ding, time to knock over the pins again. You're ready again." But my change scene was actually a little cheap because the only scene that I have is the scene where you play bowling and you kick over the pins. So with that being said, I reused the scene here and configured it in to where every time you press the reset button, everything restarts instead of the scene just going fully blank. This is far from the end of the Power Arcade. It'll be back. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.